Professor Hatter. Welcome back to Field Trips. We are doing a field trip for the first time in a long time, and we're here in Chicago. We are going to Burdeens. We're going to go hit Cermak Road, and we're going to visit Gerry and the gang down there and learn a little bit more about the history of the place and some cool hats down there. So get your sack lunch, get out a notebook, pen, or pencil. Also get out maybe $5, $10, $15 because of gas for field trip fees. But get a notebook, pen, or pencil because class is in session. Let's go. Class, welcome to our Burdeens field trip here. We are at the storefront. We are here on the gemstone of Cermak at the Burdeens store. Of course, I'm sure a lot of you might have seen or heard about Burdeens through social media, Instagram, Windy City Wednesday live shows. It's a tongue twister there. But throughout other social media platforms, maybe word of mouth. But you might not have been in the store itself. And it's a very intimate setting here where it's still a traditional mom and pop shop, where it's brick and mortar. It's where you come to escape the online monotonous that it's so easy to just look at a hat online. I want that size, go to cart, pay extraordinary shipping fees for a hat that might get damaged by FedEx or delivered the wrong house even. But coming to the storefront, it's a great way to interact and talk about hats and maybe the sports that are on the hats with the employees behind the counter, with other hat collectors that you see throughout the store that peruse through. It's like a watering hole here. We all get to come to share each other's thoughts about new hat designs, other things about our hat collection that we like. We're gonna have our fun field trip here. It's going to be a little bit more of an expose, kind of documentary, educational for sure, about the Burdeens storefront. It's a mecca for hat stores of Chicago. It's a pillar of the hat world for fitted hat collectors, and also a foundation for the community in Lower West Side here in the heart of Chicago on Cermak. And we're going to do more than just standing around looking at hats, buying hats, and then leaving. That'd be boring, wouldn't it be? So we're gonna do a lot more fun, educational, and in-depth analysis into who's behind the hats and everything else about the store here. Before we get any further, I want to thank Gerry, the store owner here, for letting me allow to do a field trip like this. I haven't done the field trips in a while, but this is a great opportunity to showcase first the storefront of Burdeens. So when you do come to Burdeens here, it's going to be two types of hats that you're going to see. The one style, or the one type, is going to be kind of the hats that you'll see almost anywhere else. Kind of some of these Cooperstown hats, some of the on-field hats, City Connect. Now, of course, you want to buy local. That's how you are a upstanding hat member of the hat community. That you buy local, wherever local may be for you. But I'm gonna guess that the reason why you take a pilgrimage out to Cermak and visit Burdeens here is from all the hats that you've seen being gobbled up on social media, on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and anywhere else that you might have heard of, maybe word of mouth of the custom hats that they have out here, the minor league Monday hats that they have, because it's part of the good reason that they have these hats for education, I think, where there's hundreds of teams out there for minor leagues. Even though they might have slimmed down, there are still quite a lot of teams out there. So having these minor league Monday drops, whether it be from here or other stores might do it, it's good for education, because there's a lot of the hat collectors out there that will get these hats that look cool for designs, which for sure is a good reason, to get a hat or to wear a hat. I mean, this like Memphis Redbirds hat, got the green all around, the metallic shininess, and the music note here looks really cool. But it's always good to know what you're wearing on the hat, and I think that is part of the education, that when you buy the hat, you get to know a little bit about that team. Maybe you'll look up where that team's located. I'm gonna guess you might not know where the Binghamton Rumble Ponies are located. Actually, I've never seen this one. It's like a Harley Davidson kind of logo. Pretty badass. I was fooled one time thinking that the original logo was for the Broncos, so the redesign, but a minor league team actually. Now, you also see kind of other diversity of MLB, minor league, and like teams that they have here for Mexican League, that they got the summer and the winter leagues, and it's always good to get a idea then of like what the hats you're wearing and who the teams are, because I always say that the primary reason for a hat is to root for the team, support the team that's on the front. Now, there are other reasons to get the hat because it looks cool, but that's why we get hats. That's why hats are made. I think cool that stores like Burdeens make these other hats out there from different baseball leagues that we're maybe not as familiar with or as exposed to, but it's a good way to learn more, become more diverse. So with the other hats that you're going to find here is going to be there you are. It's not just the fitted hats or the MLB hats or baseball hats necessarily, custom hats. You're going to find a lot of other cool hats here that I dare you to at least take a look at, where you'll have some of these like NFL hats that will celebrate the Super Bowl here with a side patch. You have plenty of other teams out here. You have plenty of other designs and leagues with soccer or football for some of the other international audience out there. Where'd they go? There it is. A nice trucker hat, but snapback. Always nice that it's adjustable, that if you have a head problem like me where it keeps growing and shrinking because of what's in my head, more of the humidity, there's nothing in here. There's plenty here that will just be a core hat for your Bulls fandom, or I guess Bears, maybe just for like the preseason and to think like, hey, we can win a game maybe, but shocker, they won't, barely anyways. But there's more than just the standard baseball hats, but the whole wall of hats here. It's really grown over the years at Burdeens, of not just So not every hat is on the shelf that you see, where most of those fitted hats are going to be in those boxes you see there with the F and number label, where the guys on the counter, when a customer came in looking for a certain hat, they wanted one of the minor league hats, and they'll look at their system, and under the one hat it'll say F8 or F22, so it'll correlate with those boxes you see with the F and then the numbering, and have the rest of the sizes that are available at least at Burdeens Chicago, where sometimes if it's a really popular hat, that box is probably gonna be empty pretty fast. That's how they have their hats all organized out there in those boxes. So if you go on the floor there and see on the shelf, that's like, oh, you know, those shelves don't really run too deep. Trust me, there's more hats. Now, what also makes Burdeens special with not just the hat design and the colors that they put on the hats. It's more special because of where it comes from, who it comes from really. That they've reached out to other hat collectors and artists and designers in the Chicago area, Chicagoland area, that they've had people put their creative minds pushed and into these hats, whether it be something just a minor league hat with their favorite color all around, or something that's crazy enough that a bright orange hat might work instead of seeing that on the road on construction work. Or they might have talked with someone, they had a special design to connect to their hats and their shoes together, that because of what shoes they've already acquired for so many years, that they want to get into collecting hats, match it all together, top and bottom, that hey, these are good colors that combine together with their kicks. Or sometimes their hat designers just connect to the city, which is pretty simple idea. With the different baseball teams that they have, we have two because we're that awesome of a city, and connect to other teams in the Chicagoland area or in Chicago, or connecting to something related to food or something else with Chicago, like an L train. I mean, just a simple design, but we're pretty famous for that. So, I mean, there's plenty of design that they've done, and it makes it more special of who it came from. That's what makes Burdeens one of the big titans. They've done plenty of other collaborations with other collectors and famous people in the hat world that you've heard of. Don Paul, Homecoming Collection, Captain Carlos, the Selena Collection, the Mariners, but those for sure went and were poof, gone. So they've worked with plenty of different hat collectors in the past and for sure in the future, but that's what makes it so interesting, that they take ideas but they put it into just a few hats, a few teams. That doesn't have to be for every team. Makes it more personalized, makes it more connected to what you put with the hat. So if you want to take a moment to pause the video or take a screenshot, make sure you go follow those people. The names are on there. That's why I always tell you to bring a notebook, pen or pencil, so you can write important things down like that stuff. All right, back to the video. Now, more often they will have their own kind of individual, kind of small pack collections, but then there are some times where they go full throttle and make a whole pack collection. Their two-tone version of a fall collection, because us hat collectors are always a sucker for different colors just with the seasons. The summer bright colors like the pink lemonades or those ocean drives, pastels for the spring. Really nothing going in the winter unless it's a corduroy hat. But fall always for sure. And I know the rust belts from lids were great last year, but they can take the silver medal in terms of fall collection color hats. So these fall collections that Burdeens is doing is fantastic. The newest Titan name for design for fall hats. Along with the designers putting their creativity on the poly and wool, they have taken their creativity to the metallic enamel with pins, designs that are alterations of familiar sports logos and original ones too, make them pop out on the sides of hats. The pins and rim clips that we've seen have become the new standard of hat accessories. Even though I'm kind of an old man about these kind of things, I've come to see that pins aren't necessarily for accessorizing, but it's about showing the support for their creative friends and other hat collectors out there that deem themselves as creators. And of course, other accessories at Burdeens Chicago include the popular Crown Clean product lineup for cleaning and maintaining your hats, as well as the hat carriers from New Era to take Burdeens with you on the go. So when you walk into the shop at first here, like you saw before, it's these work boots here, work shoes that the community here, the Burdeens regulars, will come to and buy because as part of the foundation, the heritage of Burdeens, the store started in 1921. 1921. Around a lot longer than I had even imagined. And they're on the fourth owner now, Gerry. Before it was Frank, and the way it started was being a men's dress shoe store, men's shoe store, that this neighborhood in the Lower West Side, kind of like that sector that we're in, the smaller sub-neighborhoods of Little Village, Heart of Chicago, Pilsen. A little bit of fan of Pilsen because part of the neighborhood originally had started with Bohemians. That's where my family heritage comes from. Germans also. You had Irish, you had Polish come in, wanting to start their new lives in America and making Chicago home because it's the best city in America. Having that heritage before, they've always come to Burdeens for their work shoes. And over the years, with things have been changing, now it adds on the Hispanic heritage and the culture that they have brought in with the food, the art, drinks, fashion, anything else that you take from your culture over to a new home, you bring it with you. So the community here has been fortified with all that culture and that melting pot that everyone keeps talking about. It's not a tossed salad, it's a melting pot, and it's been built upon. So with these work boots here, it's part of the heritage of Burdeens that they've always provided for shoes for the community. Frank is the third owner of Burdeens. He started back when he was 15 in high school, working for the original owner, and throughout high school, throughout college, and throughout his early years, he worked at the storefront. Born and raised in the city, in the neighborhood. By 1980, he was the new man to own Burdeens. He got contracts with Nike primarily. In his day, he'd have his line stretching out blocks for those Nike shoes, Air Jordans, Converse, and many more. His accounting degree from Loyola came in handy as he knew how to make the numbers work in his favor when selling better than most of the other store competitors in the area. He said he always met the minimums for sales and kept customers for a lifetime. He knew how to order in bulk instead of just out of the catalog. Still to this day, he gets calls from old-time customers asking about a certain shoe or if there's any new ones in stock that came out. Frank also did hat designs too. He said that back in the early 2000s, you couldn't really change much with the hats and the designs. Maybe with the Chief Wahoo logo, we can change the teeth colors and patterns. Really not much else for sure nowadays compared to the color underbrims and the side patches. But one design you could change on the hats. You could alter the piping, the lines between the panels. And he had a design that altered the hanging Red Sox logo. And that hat you might have seen before.
When you just talk about practice, we sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice, not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice.
Burdeens back in the day also had its share of hats, like Jordan branded hats and the classic 90s snapbacks. But only about 6 feet of the shelf space, Frank said, was taken up by hats, which compared to the hat wall you see today is probably just the on-field hats and maybe some of the Cooperstown collection hats. For sure, it's grown. But nowadays, Frank works the back room. He's retired, semi-retired, and it's been 40 years since he had started. If you want to thank anyone for the hats that you see on the shelves here, the website, the social media feeds, and in your hands, then you should thank Nike. Nike had the contract with Burdeens starting in the 80s and had it for quite some time. But he said now how Nike's transitioned out of the mom and pop shops and into a new business strategy. And for some of those smaller stores, it didn't work out for them. But Burdeens knew how to adapt. Other than the changing of the guard and vision of the owners from Frank to now Gerry in the last few years, the first step was Nike leaving. It opened up the store to expand their product catalog and the ability to operate their own shop website. Until Nike had left, they wouldn't allow Frank to have Burdeens' own website for some reason. Contract, some sort of dumb reason, I'm sure. But now they've grown their social media presence and they've had other influencers on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook to spread the word through the net, just as the word of Burdeens had spread throughout the streets of Chicago all these decades later. It was a transition from Burdeens to now Burdeens Chicago as we know it today. The crew here, and Frank, Chris, O, Mark, and the rest here at Burdeens on Cermak. We are going to have such a fun time today. I really want to thank, first of all, Willie, 5950 Chicago, for exposing me to Burdeens and getting me into what this place is all about. So I really appreciate So what's kind of funny here is that as I'm filming, the car pulls up behind me, gets kind of close, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll stop the filming as I'm recording my intro scene for the video, and I'll start over when they pass through. Turns out, gets out of the car, the guy in this orange hat, he's like, "Hey, you're the hat professor guy, aren't you?" Like, oh my god, holy crap, I got recognized in public, this is weird. So we're gonna follow Omar and Saul here into their first time at Burdeens. So at least here, so we have Omar and we have Saul here. So first time making your pilgrimage here to Burdeens. Any idea of what you wanted, anything that you'd seen online that made you want to pop to come over here?
Yeah, I'm from Chicago. I'm a local, so I've seen the store a lot, so I've seen it before, but I never thought, just online, like yourself, like the YouTube community with the hats and everything, and they talk about Burdeens, so I was like, I'm gonna come check it out, see what's good, I just recently, like I said before, I'm from here, I'm local, right? But I didn't know they made their own designs, exclusive from the store. Yeah, but they had a couple good ones. I think the Cobras was from the minor leagues. It was really good. It said sold out.
Snapbacks.
Snapbacks, I like snapbacks.
All right, there's an A+. A+ in hat diversity.
I collect hats. I even wear like anything, you know, like I wear fedora hats, cowboy hats.
That's like honor roll.
So it's not just, you know, it's fitted. I don't know, something about hats.
So you heard about Burdeens, kind of like word of mouth almost.
Yeah. I see the YouTube videos. Yeah, and you know, just YouTube channels like Use on the Box, one of them. I know they did a collab recently.
But who's your favorite hat channel on YouTube?
No, the Professor Hatter. Really cool.
Okay.
I think we dropped like, when was it, like 2 weeks ago or?
Nice.
They ran out of stuff.
Kind of like an off-white. There they go, first-time Burdeens shoppers. Now, how much does your wallet hate you right now?
It's payday tomorrow, so it's all good.
Even better.
Yeah.
But you got the millionaire one?
The millionaires right here.
Perfect.
I think this one was one of their drops. I think it was a couple weeks ago. I saw it online, and they dropped the Cobras from I forgot where they're from, but I wanted the Cobras one, but they ran out. So this will do, you know, it's good.
We'll be quicker on the draw next time now that you know where it is.
Yeah.
Which neighborhood are you from?
What was that?
Which neighborhood are you
Oh,
from?
I'm from here, from Little Village.
Okay.
And, you know, people say in the news, stuff like that, it's dangerous, stuff like that, you know.
Not
But
really.
I mean, it's good. It's also food, you know.
Food's good.
It's Mexican culture, so there's...
So there's a lot of just Mexican, or is there other Hispanics?
No, I'm sure.
Kind of Latin.
I'm sure there's a lot of, you know, diversity here. So a lot of people from all over the place. But I think mostly, you know, Mexican, Hispanic, probably from other places. Yeah, but I think now it's changing again. A lot of people from, you know, I think like you said, you know, it was mostly Mexicans a few years back. But now people, you know, they just, everything's Asian, you know, African Americans, whatever. It's like anywhere to live, you know, so it's good.
But-
It's not that far from downtown. So.
But you guys love the neighborhood here.
Yeah.
And remind us again what your favorite hat channel on YouTube is.
Professor Head, that's YouTube. Like, subscribe, and follow. Stay tuned.
All right, thank you guys so much. So glad to meet you guys. Frank had also told me that the store is going through some remodeling, some renovations. They expect to have it done by the end of the year. The store is going to have a bit of a different layout. They'll expand the hat wall shelf into the front empty glass box. That's the display window for the front. They'll look to use the other side of the wall in the store there. They'll add more apparel, something like this Alpha Bomber jacket, more shirts, and more hoodies. Of course, that's when it's going to be the winter time, because every Chicagoan has a good hoodie as their winter coat. I add a layer of North Face windbreaker. Some might call that weak, but that's me. But for sure, we will have to come back to Burdeens Chicago another time to see their renovations and see how everything's changed since our last field trip. So make sure you have your calendars marked for another field trip in the next few months. Make sure you're available. wrap up our field trip here. Get your last kind of moments here at the store. And before we go, as we're wrapping up, go and follow Burdeens on Instagram. You'll find all the new hats there. You'll get all the updates on what's dropping for minor league Mondays or their big Saturday drops. You get all that other info there. You'll see Gerry, the owner, every so often come on to the Windy City Wednesday live shows. You'll maybe get a sneak preview there that Don Paul had with Captain Carlos and the rest of the gang of collectors of Chicago to showcase big culture of Chicago collecting for hats and for shoes too. That a lot more there than we all realize. Again, thank you to Gerry, thank you to everyone here for allowing me to come in to be the first to do a field trip here for this great store that has evolved through the years, decades, now at a century of being around. It's gone through a lot of changes, and it's good that there's still life in it, that there's still a way that Burdeens is a foundation for Cermak, for Lower West Side here in the heart of Chicago. There's always something that will be coming, and I'm sure in the years to come there will be plenty more hat designs. Maybe my hat designs will come out. I don't know, maybe at least by the end of the century it'll come out. But also make sure that you subscribe, join the classroom here. It's gonna be a lot more videos that we'll have in the future. Eventually I'll get to the other stores for Chicago field trips, like for Stash, Clark Street Sports, Leaders, Grandstand as well, down the south side. We'll get there eventually for sure. We just gotta do it the right way. As always, thank you for watching. Hats off to you. Comment down below your favorite part of the field trip. And I'll see you the next time in class. Class is dismissed. Bye everyone. You're on your own for getting home. I only have one trip left on my L Path on my Ventra app. You're on your own.